Hello, this is Kona, and welcome to week 14. So technically, here's week 14. So week 14 information. So study resources. The notes, we've got correlations in Minitab, simple linear regression in Minitab. Both of those are just the basic written directions. I do have videos for those, but we don't do actual examples. The actual example is this Minitab example, simple linear correlation. So these first two are just the directions. This last one is the actual walkthrough of me doing the full example. You will need the assumptions of the simple linear regression. You will need that not only for the Minitab example, but also for the homework and also for the quiz this week. So you will be using the assumptions quite a bit. Just make sure if you haven't already, read chapter 5 from the textbook, and then you've got the 4 videos here. So for the assignments, the first one is election polls gone wrong. So if you've been following the news, you know that most all of the election polls favored Hillary Clinton to win. That's obviously not the case, and Trump was declared the winner. So how did the polls go wrong? Read at least 2 of these articles and then write about how election polls went wrong, or how the election polls went wrong. What, if anything, could have been done to have a more accurate poll? Make sure to cite which sources you read, no plagiarism. And will this information change how you view polls and statistics you hear and read about in the news? For the follow-up post, just provide feedback to your peers about whether or not you agree with what they posted and any additional general commentary on what they posted. The next one is a simple linear regression homework assignment. So for this one, this is similar to what you've done the previous 2 weeks. So even though it looks like a quiz, it's really not a quiz. It's just homework to make sure you know how to do a simple linear regression. There's no time limit, but you only get 1 attempt. You can go in and out of this assignment as much as you want, as long as you don't click the submit button. Your answers will automatically save. You'll need to download this Minitab file to do the assignment. And you've got a data dictionary. This data is the points scored per game for regular and tournament games for college basketball teams. And so the team is the first variable. You've got your regular season PPG, points per game, and then the NCAA tournament PPG, points per game. So I can actually preview it because it is just basically a homework. And so here's a little, this is kind of a March Madness thing. So let's see how here we'll look at one way to use statistics to inform our decisions, maybe about our March Madness bracket. So claim, is there enough evidence to say that regular season points per game can be used to predict NCAA tournament points per game? So here you just select the original claim, and here this is for each one of the things that you're, different things you have to check to make sure. So go through. So the relationship between X and Y are positive, negative, cannot. For those residuals versus fit graph. So you can see you've got all of these to answer. The y-intercept, the slope, r squared, p-value, how many outliers, if any, there is not enough evidence to support reject, and the real world. Remember, real world means how you would explain these results to someone not in our class who doesn't know anything about statistics, and it's worth 8 points. So keep it serious. Okay, so the next one is Chapter 5, Quiz 3. This one, it even says interpreting graphs is like viewing artwork. Well, remember what I said for that one. You want to make sure you look at the assumptions of the simple linear regression. These are the graphs. So once our little panda bear quits spinning there, it'll come up with, here we go. So these are the different graphs. So linearity, equal error variance, independent observations, normality of errors. Those are the different types of graphs that you will be looking at for this quiz, and you'll just be interpreting them. In all honesty, hopefully this quiz shouldn't be too hard because it's just interpreting graphs that look like this. But that's why it's really important that you watch the video on this. So back to assignments. The only other assignment is the Project 4 Part 3. And for this one, I'll work through the first part of the data analysis of Project 4. So this is the last project. It's a simple linear regression. Compare each of your 3 predictor variables to the response variable and determine the best single predictor of your response variable. You can just type the answers or you can write in full sentences, but remember, For your final paper, you will need to write this in full sentence paragraph format. So remember, these 6 questions you'll be answering 3 times. You'll be answering them for all 3 predictor variables. So you'll be doing a simple linear regression of your predictor 1 and the response variable, predictor 2 and the response variable, and then predictor 3 and the response variable. That means you have to run the data 3 different times because you've got 3 different things you're doing. Make sure to including a heading between the different types of data analysis, so it's just easier for me to go through and read everything. And then make sure you include all of this information. Especially make sure to include the appropriate graph plot for each of our assumptions. Also make sure to include the correct and full mini-tab output. Once you have all of those done, the second part is just after you've done all of your simple regressions, look at the data and determine which single predictor variable appears the best predictor of your response variables, and briefly write out your findings for this. This is worth 35 points, which is quite a bit, and here is the breakdown of how the points will be assigned. So I think that's it for week 14, and we're getting closer to week 15, 16, and then we're done. So getting closer. As we're getting closer, so here's your little opportunity for extra credit if you've been paying attention and listening to these. If you're still listening, send me an email and tell me whether or not these introduction, so when I have my week 14 overviews, let me know if these weekly overviews actually help you or not, because obviously I do put some time and some energy into creating the weekly overview for each week, and it would be nice to know if they're helping or if they're not helping. And if they're not helping, let me know what I could do to make them more helpful. So if you send me that, you will get extra credit for this week. Thanks. Have a great week.